Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is a TEDx speaker, an author, clinical hypnotherapist, life strategies coach, and nervous system architect and certified heart math coach. No other than Ms. Ranbir Puar.
Hi.
Welcome on Book 101 Review, Ms. Ranbir. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Well, you did a good job. You've covered everything. I also include somatic practices in my systems as well. So trying to blend a top-down approach, mind to body, and then a bottom-up, a body-to-mind approach to create a whole system of healing.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Ms. Ranbir. Thank you. And today, let's talk about clarity begins in the body. The title suggests that the body is not just a vessel for the mind, but a primary source of wisdom. What is the
hmm
most common mental problem or decision making struggle that you find actually originates from the bodily disconnect?
Well, there's an old saying that says the longest distance in the world is from the head to the heart. And when we can learn to connect the mind and the heart together, we can have coherence, which is really important in heart math philosophy, for one. But when we can start to slow down and get out of our thinking mind, we can start to access more data that's stored in the body. So if you look at it from that perspective, quite often you might pause and notice how somebody, when they come in your presence, how do you actually feel their energy in your body? And I don't mean woo woo energy, I mean nervous system energy, because our nervous systems are reading each other to assess safety, social engagement, danger. All of that stuff is happening automatically without us having to think about it. So you might someone might walk in a room and you might feel like a weird feeling in your throat, or your stomach might contract. And
Mm-hmm.
so, one of the best signals you can look for is a contraction signal. So, if you're making a decision and your body starts to contract, it might be trying to give you a signal of potential danger, or it might be saying you need to be better prepared for this, slow down, do your work, do your research. Or you might get a signal of that says jump. The net's going to appear, right? So, and that's when your body feels expansive, your shoulders go back, your chin might go up. So paying attention to the language of the body.
The language of the body. So, if the body
hmm
communicates with us, what are the primary dialects? Is it sensation, intuition, image, or something else? How do we learn to interpret this language?
The best way to learn to interpret it is practicing it when you don't need it. So
Mhm.
what I mean by that is starting off with setting maybe two or three alarms in your calendar, in your day timer. So maybe you wake up and you do a body scan and just say, okay, how's my head feeling? How's my throat? Like, how is my body feeling? And learn to scan your body. And then maybe you pause and do that at lunch, and then maybe again right before you go to bed. So that allows you to begin a conversation, because you want to well, it's like dating before you jump into marriage, right? So you want to, so, pausing and learning to tune into your body allows that conversation to develop over time. And then, if you practice this when you don't need it and make it a daily practice, when you do need to collect the data from the body, information and language, you can do that body scan and you are going to get something back from it. That's true, not what you perceive.
Mhm. The default mode override. Our modern lives are dominated by thinking mind. What is the simple, immediate practice someone can use to drop out their racing thoughts and into the bodily awareness when feeling overwhelmed or confused?
Oh, it's a good question. One of the things I've always used is jumping jacks. So just
Okay.
getting into your body and stopping and doing some jumping jacks, it makes you very big. So
Mm-hmm.
when your body gets bigger, your nervous system doesn't feel like you're in threat,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're not contracting like we talked about earlier, we're expanding. So we make the body bigger. And the great thing about jumping jacks is that no matter how fit you are, they're always challenging. And then the foot lands on the ground. So that creates grounding. The body becomes bigger, but then also you end up having to focus on it so your breath regulates. So it does three things in one. And then the other thing you can do, if that's not available to you, because not everyone can do jumping jacks, is
Mm-hmm.
you can do something really simple called bilateral stimulation. So you could cross um, your hands across your chest and tap like a butterfly tap,
Mm-hmm.
and just gently tap one hand at a time.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that, yeah, and
Yeah.
just one at a time, it allows us to begin a conversation with the body and gently slow ourselves down
To relax.
to
Okay.
relax,
Oh wow.
to down regulate, so you're not in that panic. Um,
Panic mode.
yeah, because if this is the nervous system, you don't want to be freaking out. You don't want to be frozen. You want
Mm-hmm.
to have this sort of heartbeat.
Just
So,
like the heart.
yeah.
Okay. So, Miss Ranbir, how does unresolved trauma, big T or small t, specifically corrupt or cloud the body signals, making true clarity difficult to access? What is the first step in beginning to clear that static?
Well, the first step, oftentimes, research shows, trauma can be something that happens that's too much, too fast, too soon, or if you have too little for too long or too much for too long, that can create the experience. It's an experience, and quite often trauma doesn't have what's called a date stamp, so our bodies feel like we're experiencing it over and over again every day. So the first step would be to pause and acknowledge even today's date.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that actually I'm living in January 13th. Is this happening to me right now? That's a good, like, quick pause. The other thing you can do is, I think it's good if you've experienced big T or little t, is to almost create a document of a list on your notes on your phone of your bolsters, of your support systems, because those are good to review when you're feeling activated, of resources that you have. And then going into that, some simple that bilateral stimulation, really gently bringing your systems down. Because if you've had a spike, the last thing you want to do is offer a spike back. Like, you don't want to flood yourself. You want to be really gentle and releasing. And so somatic practices are great for that. You could even push your feet down into the ground. I like to use feet and seat. So feeling your seat in the
Uh-huh.
seat, feeling your feet on the ground. And so different ways to bring yourself into this moment.
Mm. So, in the age of digital distraction, we train to seek a quick dopamine driven clarify from external sources like notifications or wins. How does this reward us to ignore this lower, deeper clarity of the body offers?
So the notifications and the dopamine hits you get from your phone, of course, are very surface level, but very addictive. And so obviously, the typical things are to turn off the notifications. The other thing, I mean, that's a typical advice, but the other thing I really like to do to keep my brain fresh is I change the tone of the notification so I'm not Pavlov's dog.
Mm-hmm.
So, say for example, you have the same notification for your texts all the time. You're going to go into an automatic response to that. I'm sorry, I can hear an echo. That's
Okay.
why I'm pausing. Um, the so you can hear that sound, and then you have a response that's really programmed. So if you can change your notification sounds regularly, it keeps your brain guessing and it keeps your brain fresh. And you have to think about, well, what is it that I'm responding to? And the reason I like that is it creates the pause necessary for you to decide, is that good for me or not? But if it's automatically the same sound, that's my text. I better go check my text, or that's my Instagram, and it always has the same notification sound. It's harder to have a pause. So even if you change your ringtones or your sounds once a month, or twice a month, that's great. The other thing that's helpful to do, and this is working with your phone if you don't want to give it up. The other thing you can do is move your icons around so they're not always in the same place. So small things that cause you to pause and consider whether that is what you want to do in that moment or what you're programmed to do in that moment. So that's one thing. The other thing is, trying not to use your phone as an alarm, and trying to ask of yourself to spend at least the first 10 minutes that you wake off of anything digital, just so you give your brain that chance to pause and reflect. Oh, I can't hear you. Sorry.
What is or what does contemporary neuroscience or polyvagal theory tell us about the intelligence of the enteric nervous system? Is the gut feeling a metaphor or literal psychological signal?
Yeah. Well, the gut is considered the second brain, so it's literal. And in the past, we have done well with trying to use our conscious mind to make changes through all of our systems. But using things like the polyvagal theory allows us to understand the importance of the vagus nerve, and allowing us to understand how much information is sent from the body to the brain. And so it's a great way and a great tools for us to really ground in that knowledge that we can use and train and improve our vagal tone. There's some really simple exercises you can do. Believe it or not, there's research, you can look it up, on humming and gargling and how they do help reduce levels of stress and anxiety. So super, super cool ways to access resources that don't cost money. So that's one thing that's really important, because it's a big, big industry, self-help is. So I think having tools and resources that are free and that you could do anywhere is super, super important.
For sure, people love that. Free, yeah, free of totally free people. So,
Yes.
emotions are somatic events. We often say emotions are felt in the body first. How can
Mhm.
someone differentiate between the bodily signal offering a genuine clarity, like, oh no, felt as a contraction, and a mere emotional reaction born of fear or past conditioning?
Well, if you pause and you feel something, and so maybe you feel it in your chest, or maybe you feel it in your solar plexus or tummy, the best thing you can do is just put your hands there, like put your hands on your tummy, and try to just breathe. Close your eyes and breathe, and ask yourself, what is it that I'm feeling at the deepest level? What is the true feeling? Before your conscious mind kicks in and starts trying to be the analyzer and saying, well, you don't feel that, you feel this, and have a whole story. So if you can create any of those pauses where you can just take a moment to listen to what the body's saying emotionally, you will get a lot of information. I've had clients have a shoulder pain, and we've sat and just put the hand on the shoulder, and the messages that have come popped into their minds have been like, I'm shouldering a lot of responsibility. I'm carrying a really heavy load. I'm tired. I need a break. And so it's fascinating what can come up when you sit and connect with that part of your body.
For someone living with a chronic pain, illness, or disability, how
Yeah.
does the constant signal of the body affect their access of this kind of clarity? Is it a path different?
The path is different if you're starting with chronic pain, for sure, just because there's a lot of, you know, signals being crossed when the pain is trying to talk all the time. But I have been in practice since 2009, and my recommendation is always to try to talk to that part of your body that's in pain and ask it what's really bothering it. And sometimes you might start having dreams that remind you of some small T or big T trauma that you had as a kid, or some emotional block or pain you might feel. So you can get there. You just need guidance. But I've worked with loads of people that have had chronic pain that has moved for sure by tuning into the somatic body.
That's somatic body. So, Ms. Ranbir, as a TEDx speaker, an author, clinical psychologist, or hypnotherapist, as well as strategist coach, what are your short term and long term goals?
Mine? Oh,
Yes,
interesting.
please.
I wasn't expecting that. My short-term goals would be like, for me, short term, I think of the year. And I've been reading a book called The Science of Scaling, which is a really great book by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And just listening to that has made me rethink some of the things I had in mind. So, my goals this year in regards to my business, because that's one category of my life, is to connect more and have more offerings that are one to many, not just one on one. And then long term goals, I have in the process of building a couple of apps and finishing a couple of longer books that I'm going to write. Yeah.
Longer books. Wow, looking forward for that. Ms. Ranbir, good luck and looking
Thank
forward
you.
for more success.
Thank you.
And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
Oh goodness. Well, I would say that the that what I've been able to achieve in my mind and the inner peace that I feel, if someone had told me it was possible, I wouldn't have believed them.
Mm,
When I was younger, just because it just didn't seem like something I could imagine. So my advice is to you is to know that you're worth it and know that there's more for you than you could ever imagine,
imagine.
because you're looking at the world through the lens of something you've lived, and I'd love for you to look at the world through the lens of your dreams.
Yes, thank you for that empowering advice, Miss Ranbir. So, can you please recommend a book or books that influence you, Johnny?
My favorite book would be Psycho Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz.
Mm-hmm.
He's a it's a very old book. Try to get the original copy. He was a plastic surgeon and he wrote this book. And it's a fascinating read because he would have people come in and their faces would be changed and they'd say, "You didn't do anything. My life hasn't changed." And it's all in and around the self image, which is one of the four pillars of the work that I do. And so that is probably my favorite book to read and recommend.
Yes, and thank you for that recommended book, Miss Ranbir. So let's talk about the practice of unknowing. Sometimes the body message is, I don't know yet. How do
Mhm.
we practice resisting in that somatic uncertainty without forcing a premature mental conclusion?
Well, I think the best way to practice is by starting with really small things and building self trust. The reason that there's a hiccup for many people is they haven't put in the practice time. If you look at any athlete or anybody that's made it to the pro level, much of their success happens in practice. You learn more in practice, than you're going to learn in the game. So becoming focused and dedicated to the practice of understanding your own internal language, your body's language, your soul's language. But that requires taking those 2, 3 minutes a day to sit and tune in to the body. And then you can build trust. And then you can count on that language and communication being honest and consistent.
Hmm. So, when you feel mentally foggy or lost, what's your go foolproof bodily practice or checkpoint to reconnect with your own clarity?
Well, when I'm feeling lost, or foggy, I meditate, and so meditation is my go-to. But if it's not one that's accessible to you, then I would recommend movement because emotion is energy. The word emotion is mostly motion, so it's a really good way to get clarity is get to motion for sure. So meditation for me, or a walk, and is and reading sometimes. Sometimes you just have to read something. And then the other thing that's a great pattern interrupt is watching something funny because it changes your state.
Walks definitely for me. I love walking. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, Miss Ranbir, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in third season, and my book 101 review in sixth season as well, comedy 101 third season, and my food 101 in sixth season as well. Geography 101, Love Letters, Movie 101, Review, Music 101, our fifth season, Science 101, Sex 101, fourth season, and of course, my baby podcast, Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So if someone consistently practices listening to their body for clarity, what is the deepest transformation they can expect in how they experience in their life, relationships, and purpose? Miss Ranbir.
Oh, they can feel completely at peace. That's the deepest transformation. You feel peaceful, you live like your life on purpose, you feel like everything kind of comes together. So it feels very blessed.
A peaceful end a day. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Ranbir. So,
Thank you.
yes, thank you. And can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Absolutely. You can connect with me on my website, which is freewithin.me. I also have an online school, which is innerchampion.me. And you can always connect with me on social media. I try to post content regularly, and so you can reach me there.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Ranbir Puar because if you support her for sure, more and more empowering advocacy will rise. So, Miss Ranbir, thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. That was fun.
Likewise, so Monica people, see you soon.